Hey guys, hope everyone's staying safe during these times. I know it's been pretty rough out there, but I'm sure we can stay strong and keep moving towards a better tomorrow. Now, speaking of better tomorrows, I actually just finished my finals as well as all my final projects at Rice. So now my summer break officially starts. But before I, actually relax and everything, I thought it'd be nice to kind of talk about what I did during this semester and last semester, to give you guys some insight on what it's like to be a college student. Now, if you haven't checked it out already, I made a similar video in the past detailing about my freshman year at Rice. So if you haven't checked that out, I'll link it up in the iCard above and in the description below. But without further ado, let's get started. Alright, let's start with my first semester. So my first semester I took a total of 17 credit hours. Of those 17 credit hours I took 2 comp classes, a linguistics class, a psychology class, a business class, and a LPAP, which is kind of like PE in high school. So let's go through all my classes. The first class is Comp 215. It is called Introduction to Program Design. Now, despite what the name of the class is, it's actually kind of just like an intro to Java course, where you learn about Java and then you do a couple projects related to Java and take some exams about, the content. You can read more about specifically what the class is on Rice's website. I also have a picture here in the detailed courses section. But in general, it just talks about, what Java is, how to program in Java, and how to design with things such as, object-oriented programming. Overall, I'd say I had a decent experience with this class. It does introduce you to Java, you do learn the Java fundamentals. But to be honest, I felt like there could have been more done in terms of the actual program design aspect. There wasn't too much in terms of learning how to program in object-oriented programming. And to be honest, I feel like the lectures were really not necessary in terms of actually learning the things that you'd want to be learning in terms of program design and object-oriented programming. But overall, I like the projects, and I thought the class was a decent class as an introductory course. Now, that class was a required course for computer science majors. The next class is more of an elective, and that course is called Comp 330. Otherwise known as Tools and Models for Data Science. And this really caught my eye because I am interested in data science projects and manipulating data and how it can affect the real world, how we can use that to solve problems in our society today. And so I took this class, again Comp 330, and I was, to be honest, a little bit disappointed with how the class went. The lectures were pretty dry. Nothing to our professor. Our professor actually did a pretty good job, I think, in actually teaching us the content. But just, it felt like the content itself wasn't really resonating with me. It felt very dry and kind of uninteresting. But I will say again, it is a computer science course, so it is based on projects, and I did like most of the projects. Some of them were a little bit tedious. I felt like some of them weren't really applicable to the things that we do in the real world in terms of data science applications. But I did like most of the projects, and I feel like it was a good introduction to data science, as well as the tools that people use to manipulate data and write programs that parse through a bunch of big data. So the other class was learning in Java. In this class we did a multitude of languages. So that involved Python, we wrote in MapReduce, we used Amazon Cloud, or AWS, Amazon Web Services. We also wrote in SQL, all of those things. So it was a kind of good broad overview of all these different types of languages and the ways people use it for data science. So overall, I thought this class, in terms of the projects and things that we did, was interesting. The lectures, not so much. Okay, so that was my computer science courses, and then moving on to my other courses, which for those who don't know, I'm actually a double major in both computer science and cognitive science. And so these courses are for my Cog Sci major. And so the first course is Ling 200, otherwise known as just an introductory course to linguistics. Again, you can read about exactly what they talk about in the description that I provided in the picture up here, or at the Rice website. But essentially it was, of course, your standard introductory course to linguistics. We had a couple exams, a couple of homework assignments, and a lot of it was just, going to lectures, taking notes. The next course is also similar. It's called Psych 203, otherwise known as Introductory to Cognitive Psychology. I'd say if you ever took AP Psychology in high school, it's very, very similar to that. You read the textbook, it talks about psychology topics. This course is more related towards cognitive psychology, so more about the mind and the behaviors of humans and how that kind of affects how you think, and how the mind works. You know, I'd say if you took AP Psychology, it's really similar to that class. You just read the textbook, you take notes, and there are a couple exams throughout the semester that you just take. But before I move on, I will say that the professor that I took it with, if you're going to Rice, Dr. OG is an amazing professor. I really love her. She presented so well in the class and, you know, actually made the topics interesting. So yeah, if you ever get the chance to take this class and Dr. OG is a possible professor you can take it with, I would definitely recommend her. The last actual class that I took was Busy 469, which, as you can see, is titled the Lilly New Venture Challenge. If you don't know what Lilly is actually a kind of entrepreneurial space at Rice, you know, for the undergraduate students. So if you have like any startup ideas or, you know, just want to learn more about entrepreneurship, then I definitely check out Lilly. And just a brief mention, I also did take an LPAP, which, like I said before, is analogous towards like a PE course in high school. Basically, for an LPAP, you can choose a variety of different things to account for your physical activity credit. For me, last year I actually chose yoga, and this year I chose what's called Stretch Lab. And basically what you do is you have like an hour session 2 times a week where you learn about different stretches and you do those stretches. For me, I found it to be very, very nice. It was kind of like a good relaxation period that I could take during the week, you know, just to take some stress off of me if I ever had too much homework or I was just too stressed about something. I always knew I could go to Stretch Lab and just kind of relax. But yeah, that covers all the courses that I took during my first semester. And in terms of, you know, the difficulty, the workload, I'd say that semester was probably on the more difficult end, just primarily because I was taking so many courses. I took 17 hours, like I said, and just for reference, 18 hours is kind of like the maximum hours that you can take. You know, you can petition for more hours, but generally 18 hours is as much hours as you can take in one semester. So with that being said, for the extracurriculars, I did actually join this club called the Rice Escape Room. And in this club, what we did was we basically planned as well as built an entire escape room from scratch. It was an amazing experience. It was so much fun. And if you have any passion in escape rooms or just, you know, general interest in escape rooms, puzzles, whatever it may be, then I definitely suggest checking out the Rice Escape Room. Alright, so now moving on to my second semester, I took a smaller course load, 14 hours as compared to 17 hours last semester, and that consisted of 2 comp classes as well as a neurology class and a philosophy class. So to start off my comp classes, I took Comp 321 as well as Comp 322. And these are required courses if you're planning to be a computer science major at Rice. For 321, it's called Intro to Computer Systems, and this class is basically all about programming in C. You get really down to the low level of computer programming, you know, with the C language, and you do a bunch of projects related to sort of like the low level processing of computer systems. And so, for example, we just finished our final project. It was called Proxy, where we kind of built our own proxy server using C. Other projects include like building proper malloc, realloc, and, you know, free methods, as well as building kind of our own shell program. I will say this class was on the more difficult end of computer science courses. This was basically an entirely project-based class where every grade just came from projects. And the projects were pretty difficult. They did take a lot of work and effort to do. But I will say it was definitely worth it, in the fact that you learn so much about computer systems, you learn so much about C. You know, it's called an Introductory to Computer Systems course, but I feel like it really went in and you learn so much in terms of the computer systems as well as how to program in C. So again, you'll have to take this class as it is a required class for computer science majors, but you do learn a lot from it. Now, on the other hand, there's this class called 322, which was Introductory to Parallel Programming. Like the title suggests, you learn all about parallel programming, and in this class we do code in Java. So we learn things like Java threads, we learn about asyncs and asynchronous, you know, methods, as well as asynchronous tasks. But I did feel like this class was not as good as I expected. You know, the lectures were on the more boring end, and I felt like there were a lot of ways that the class could be improved. You know, in terms of the project structures, as well as how you learn things and what order you learn them. So I will say this class wasn't as good as I thought. But you do learn a decent amount of parallel constructs that are applicable to the real world, and this class is again required, so you just kind of have to take it. And this class, you know, compared to 321 is much easier, you know, in terms of getting a good grade. So, you know, that's good too. Moving on to my other 2 classes, Neuro 380 as well as Phil 103. These 2 classes were required for my Cog Sci major. And so let's start with the Neuro 380, and as the title suggests, it is basically an introductory course to neurosystems. So you learn about the brain, you learn about the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system. It's a class where you just kind of read the textbook, you memorize the concepts, you memorize the labels, and you just get tested over them. Nothing much to say about this class other than the professor is a really good lecturer. Professor Dickman, he is an amazing professor. And honestly, he made kind of a boring course fun. So that's always good. Okay, so the last class that I took, Phil 103, is titled The Philosophical Aspects of Cognitive Science. And this class was actually quite interesting. You know, you talk about a lot of different philosophy topics that are related to cognitive science. It is more reading heavy than most classes I took. But again, that's kind of just because I've taken computer science classes, and a lot of that you don't really have to read like that much. But this class was interesting. The professor was really nice. He's a really good professor. Overall, the discussions were interesting. Basically what you do is every week you'd read some kind of material, you'd kind of like write your own opinion about it, and then you kind of discuss with the group during the class time. So overall, I'd say it was a good class to take. Now I just realized it's a little bit late, but I do want to preface this all with just saying that half the second semester was just completely transitioned to online. And so if you are going to Rice, and in the case that you do take these classes, just take my experience with a little bit of a grain of salt, just because I will say my experience with half online, half in person is a little different than what it would have been to be completely in person. Because, you know, the classes, the class structure, the grading, it was all adjusted in response to online courses. But yeah, that wraps up my second semester classes. In terms of the overall workload, I'd say it was, you know, kind of on the heavy side just because of Comp 321. That one really took most of my free time. But overall, I'd say it was pretty manageable. You know, you do have to work, you know, you do have to take time to study to get good grades in the classes. That concludes all the classes I took this second year at Rice University. For extracurriculars, I am working on this startup called A440. It's basically a platform for classical artists and musicians to, you know, stream their content as well as share all the content that they've made online, as well as kind of engage with their audience on a more personal level. Working on this project has been an amazing experience. I've learned so much in both the entrepreneurial space as well as in software development, and I couldn't be more happy about the product that we built today. So if this sounds interesting in any way to you, I'll link our website in the description below. Feel free to check us out. It's a project that I'm really passionate about, and I can't wait to continue working on this summer as well as in the coming years. Other than that, you may have noticed that this second semester I've definitely been trying to upload more, with the whole residential college series that I've been working on. That's also a secondary reason why I decided not to take more credit hours, was because I wanted to spend more time on extracurriculars like this, just to work on videos and get better at video production and get better at editing, because I do enjoy this, and seeing the comments from you guys, the love that you guys show me, it's really inspiring for me and just keeps me going all the way. So I do want to thank everyone for watching and thank everyone for their support during these times and support for this channel. That marks the end of my second year here at Rice University. I've sincerely enjoyed my time here at Rice, even with the whole coronavirus situation. I think Rice University responded well. All the classes, they all responded well in terms of adjusting for online classes, and honestly, I've been really enjoying this year. So with that being said, this video's already been going on pretty long, and I don't want to bore you guys with anything else. So again, with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.